Hello, everyone, and welcome to my podcast. On this podcast, I'll be talking about topics related to self growth and self development. I'll talk about myself a lot and my story, which is very uncomfortable for me because I value my privacy. But yalla, I'll just pretend that no one's listening and I'll just be myself. I will also be talking about parenting because parenting is the base of everything. Our childhoods greatly made us who we are today, and I want to help raise a better generation. So I hope you enjoy listening to me and would tune in. Today, I will mostly talk about myself and my journey that led me to become a life coach. My name is Dana Hassan. I'm 30 years old. I studied business in uni and more specifically, accounting, auditing, and internal auditing. Although it wasn't my first choice, I loved studying it. I loved documenting the transactions, debits and credits, moving them to the ledgers to end up in the financial statements. I liked that if a mistake was done, the balance sheet will be off, and we'll have to go back and trial back to figure out the mistake. Now, I know that might make me sound a bit weird, and my fellow students maybe thought so, as mostly everyone hated accounting and found it difficult and gave me grief when they found out that it's my major, but I really loved it. I'm a bit of a nerd anyway, and I really liked the logic behind it and how you can know everything that went on in the company just from the accounting records. But when it came to working as an accountant, everything is done for you. This complicated process was automated, which is great because, of course, that's way better. But it leaves you with the dull job of data entry, which is very boring for me. I, of course, don't mean to offend anyone who does the job. Some people like it, people have different personalities, likes and dislikes. But for me, I knew I couldn't do it. I also shortly worked in external auditing. I also liked studying it. But when it came to the job, I didn't feel like I was doing anything really. I interned for two of the big four auditing firms at that time, and we would get records, work on them. Whatever we find turns out to be immaterial. So you're not really making much of a difference. So then I knew that I wanted internal auditing. Studying internal auditing was amazing. I had the best professor ever, super smart, God bless him, and I loved the job itself. Internal auditing is all about improving company processes. We understand and document the process. We then have a risk assessment and put in controls that would mitigate the risks into acceptable levels. I really enjoyed working in internal auditing. So now one would think, finally, you found something you liked. Now you can stick to it. Nope. Something was missing. Because although we would audit the departments and suggest improvements, that doesn't mean that they will do by them. They might believe that they know better or that we are adding unnecessary work or. And they are right. They do know better. They know the operations the most. And many times they may not like the way things are done and think that they could be done in a better way, but they can't do much about it. Only if they trusted the internal auditors to help them, it would have been beneficial for all. But everyone is just afraid of the auditors. They feel that they are the annoying people that are looking for our mistakes, so they are automatically more guarded around them. So, anyway, my next step was to work in operations. And I did. And I helped improve my department's processes. But after a while, I got bored. Now, the job was too easy and very repetitive. My brain simply rested. Like, really, you feel your mental abilities deteriorating when you stay in such a job for too long. So, I wanted a promotion and a more challenging role. But during that time, the coronavirus happened. And although we were still working remotely, we had more time to think, to reflect, and to reconnect with people. I remember reconnecting with two of my friends who were reading a book together. So I decided to join the book club. The book was called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. It's a self development book. So we used to read and discuss, which brought up the philosophical side in me and made the friendship go into a deeper level, which allowed me to say that I'd like to become a life coach. Now, this was very difficult for me to say because I always found myself too young for the role. I first wanted to become a life coach when I was 21 years old. I remember my friend taking me to a workshop. Back then, I didn't know what it was or what life coaching was, but I was super impressed and I was like, I want to do what they are doing. But my self doubt did not allow me. I'm like, who would want a life coach who's only 21 years old? Who would take me seriously? But now, during the corona times, I was around 26. And when my friend found out that I wanted to become a life coach, he told me, how about you try coaching me? That was a big deal for me. Like someone trusting me to help them, although I wasn't even certified or had the right background for it, that was really big. But also, I have to say that from a very young age, I had a knack for helping and listening to people. But of course, there were some things that I couldn't handle and some problems that were bigger than me. But as I grew, I worked on myself and I got better at being able to counsel people. And I loved helping people. And somehow people felt comfortable talking to me. So now back to when I was 26, and after I started coaching my friend, I was like, let me make sure I'm doing things right. So I did some research and found a coaching program and got certified as a life coach. Meanwhile, I was still in my corporate job and I got the promotion that I wanted. However, once I did, I didn't have the time to work on myself or my coaching career. The plan was to work on both, but I knew that I wanted the coaching career as the long term one, as I didn't see my future in a 9 to 5, especially if at some point I have kids. I would want to be with them, but I would also still want to work, as I love being productive, especially in doing what I love. Now, of course, for me to figure this out, I had to ask myself a lot of questions. Questions like, what do I want in life? How do I want my life to look like, let's say, in 5 or 10 years? And what do I need to do to make that happen? Because the coaching career needs to be built. There's a lot of work that needs to be done there on myself and on my business. And of course, it was a very tough decision to make. Letting go of my job, my safety net, for something that I don't even know if I will succeed at, but I knew that if I didn't try, I will regret it. I will always be like, what if? So I took the leap of faith. And from the moment I quit, I felt like myself again. I have to say that during the period before Corona, I had lost myself. And that wasn't the first time I lose myself. It's all right. I was depressed and on survival mode. I was just doing the minimum and not being active or participating at work or even in my social life. I was a bit isolated. I felt like I was a zombie, just doing things and going through life, but not really living, not really enjoying it. But the moment I quit, I got back to myself. Even at work, because I still had the notice period, I was more active and more fun and funny, which is my personality. It was really weird because others also noticed it and told me that they didn't really know me before. And it's true. I didn't show myself, I didn't express myself and my thoughts much back then. But look at me now. I'm recording a full episode on myself and my story, which is still uncomfortable, but I'm doing it. So after that, I also enrolled in the RTT program, Rapid Transformational Therapy. This was a program for a year. This program taught me so much about our psychology, why we are the way we are, the reasons behind our problems, and how to overcome them. RTT uses hypnotherapy to go back to the root cause of our issues and to help us reframe our beliefs to overcome our current issues. But I didn't only learn what I need to do in a session. I learned that most of our issues are caused by our childhoods. Now, I've always known that our childhoods greatly influence who we are because I've seen firsthand how my mom's parenting influenced me and made me into the person that I am today. But damn, this highlighted it even more and more. Yani even things like weight issues can be tied to childhoods and not the way we used to eat, but the way we thought and most probably still do. Can you imagine? Learning all of this made me want to share it. I wanted to educate parents about the importance of their role. I wanted to make them understand their children better and help them thrive and try as much as we can to not pass on our issues and our traumas onto them. I wanted to help raise better generations by starting from the base, childhoods. But that voice of self doubt came back again. It said, who would listen to you about parenting when you're not a parent yourself? And that stopped me for a while, I can't lie. But the dream was so big and persisted in my mind. So my thoughts were going like, okay, so maybe do that when you have a child. But, and by the way, I must add, I'm an overthinker, but I love my overthinking. So here's how it went on. But probably when I have a child, I'll be very busy and wouldn't have the time to start then. Also, who said after one child, I'll be an expert on children? So, how many children should I have? But who said that I'll be doing a good job? What's the proof? How they turn out to be? So, I need to wait until I'm old to talk about the topic? But by then, time would have changed and I will probably not be able to help with the modern issues that will come up. So, when is the right time really? Now. Just do it. Yani alhamdulillah, I have a lot of info on the topic. And of course, I wouldn't know everything, but also no one does. But I can help. I can help parents. So I created a workshops for parents, for teachers, and anyone who deals with children to help them understand the kids better and help them thrive, not just on the short term, but also on the long term. And the feedback I got was amazing. Everyone who attends the workshop is mind blown and tells me not just about what they learned for their children and about their children, but also what they learned about themselves. And by the way, you don't need to be a parent to attend my workshop. This workshop helps everyone understand themselves as it contains reflection sessions that make people feel like they went to therapy. And that was the feedback I got. And I actually recommend that people attend this workshop before having children, as I also got a lot of feedback like, oh shit, I already fucked up, or I wish I knew this when my children were younger, and so on. But anyway, there is always something to be done to repair. It will take more time and effort, but it's doable. So yeah, I highly recommend attending the workshop as soon as you can. Now, why did I tell you all about my story? Well, first of all, to highlight that we don't have to stay in the same job or the same career path just because we chose our major back when we were teenagers. Change is possible. You can change. You've seen me change like so many times, I can't count. And secondly, the self-doubt and the struggle with the self-doubt, which I still struggle with, but I'm fighting every day. This voice or noise, we really need to tone it down. And I'm not saying to completely remove it because sometimes it helps. Like when it's the sound of reason, all right, it's okay. But when it just stops you from doing and being who you know you are and who you're meant to be, then no, we need to lower it down. We need to believe in ourselves and in our capabilities. And inshallah, God willing, God will help us in achieving our dreams. And speaking of dreams, another dream I have is to start a school. This dream came to life also during Corona when I reconnected with a friend who we used to go to school together. I used to tutor her. It's funny how it happened. I had started teaching two other girls who weren't doing so well. And now I have to say, like, I'm the type that needs to see good results, a good outcome from what I do. So when the results of their tests came back with no improvement after I taught them, I went to them and told them, I'm no longer teaching you because I felt like they were wasting my time. Now, when that happened, this girl heard us and she was like, Dana, how about you teach me? I was like, listen, if your grades do not improve, I'm not doing it. She's like, try me. And I did. I taught her and her grades improved. And I taught her and they improved further. God bless her, she was very smart. And at one point, we were getting the same grades. And we simply continued studying together. I was no longer teaching her, but we just studied together, which went on, I think, from grade 9 or 10 until grade 12. Then we started university. I went on to study business, and she went on to study medicine. And I was very proud of her. But of course, I could no longer help her, and we drifted apart. Now, back to the Corona times when we reconnected, she told me something that I would never forget. She told me that I get ajr from every patient she helps. Ajr means like a reward from God or something like that. When she said that, I got tears in my eyes. Like, it's unbelievable. It touched my heart greatly. I didn't see it as something I did. It was all her effort, her persistence to become a doctor. But she told me that she wouldn't have been able to reach where she reached today without me. And she also told me that back then there were issues in her household that limited her, which I didn't know back when we were children. But this showed me the effects of the attention of one person. And that made me want to do more of it. I want to build a school that caters to children's personalities, mindsets, mental, physical, and emotional well being and help them thrive and grow. A school that provides them with the attention and support that they need to achieve their potential. And I really hope that I'll get to do it one day, inshallah ya Rab. And yeah, that's all for today. I hope you enjoyed it and you learned something from it. And I'll see you next time.